Well, in case you guys haven't figured it out by now, I'm an idiot. Why, you may ask? That's because I locked myself out of my house. Yep, I'm sitting here on the back deck of my house, and now I've got to wait for my wife to come home from work. Let me see if I can prop this camera up here. I don't know if it's going to get a good enough picture, but so I'm going to scoot this table up a little bit closer. Let's prop this up with my coffee. Oh.
Disciple, my raps are trifle. I shoot slugs from my brain just like a rifle. Stampede the stage.
Now, why did you do it? You know you got the mad fat fluid when you rhyme. It's halftime.
Check me out, y'all.
From the split that I lived in hell, it ain't hard to tell.
Hopefully this camera angle will get me in the picture. I don't know, I'm trying to figure out something because I don't have a friggin' tripod or anything out here. Now, like I was saying, locked myself out of my house. And one thing I should have taught my dog how to do was unlock the door. He needs to like grow some thumbs and grow a couple feet because I think even if he had thumbs he couldn't reach the door. But anyways, yeah, my plans were to actually, go on a Let's Ride video, take you guys along with me, and had it all planned out. Well, now I gotta sit here and wait for my wife to come home. And guess what? I don't have my cell phone on me, so I know that she's gonna be calling and she's gonna be looking for me, wondering where I'm at. She's gonna come home, see the car in the driveway, and come in the house yelling for me, and here I'm gonna be in the backyard. Or actually, I'll probably go back out front before she gets home. One thing that's fortunate for me is that it's not too cold out today. It's been, I don't know, probably for most of you, I mean for the whole, at least for the US, it's been really cold last week or even the whole year so far, 2010. And this is like the warmest day of the year, at least here where I live. It's like in the mid 40s, but I don't know, I'm probably boring most of you to death. Anyways, I guess I'll take this time to do what I was going to talk about, in the Let's Ride video. One of the things that I was thinking about lately, and this is something that's bugged me for some time now, it's kind of like a pet peeve of mine, is, what people consider to be rare in video games. Let me kind of explain a little bit and go into more detail. As a collector, I like to come across rare video games. Whether it's something that is extremely hard to find, or maybe it's an import title, or just something that isn't incredibly common. And so a lot of times what I'll do is I'll go on to eBay, for instance, and I'll search rare video games, or I'll go on and do a Google search of rare video games, because I don't have all the knowledge in the world. I don't know all of the specific titles that are rare per se. And I figure that a good way to find out is to go and do a Google search. Let me just explain something to anybody out there. Grand Theft Auto San Andreas, the adults only version, is never going to be rare. I could take 1 million copies of that game, throw it into a bonfire, and there still would be so many copies left on this planet that it would not be a rare game. That game was out for a year before they even realized there was an exploit in there where you could pull off the hot coffee thing. And you go into eBay and you do a search for rare PlayStation 2 game, and I promise you this, probably 4 out of 10 games that you come across are going to be Grand Theft Auto San Andreas adults only. That's not a rare game. Final Fantasy VII, that's not even a rare game. Even the Black Label. Think about how long that game was out. How many millions of copies sold of that game, and I don't have numbers off the top of my head. But think about how many millions of copies of that game sold. That game's not rare. And granted, it's not something that you're going to come across in the majority of video game stores, but I can go right down the street right now and I don't have a lot of independently owned video game stores, or even I have a lot of GameStops in this area, but there's not a lot of video game shops in this area that sell PlayStation 1 games. But I can still go right down the street, and I know for a matter of fact that they have a copy sitting in their glass display case. Now, they do want $80 for it, and that's because the demand for it's high. So there's a little bit of a difference, and I think that the term rare is something that's overused way too often. I think a better term or better terminology is uncommon. And I think I even make that mistake sometimes, and I'll say, you know, this game's rare, this game is, you know, whatever. I use the term rare too often, when in all actuality I should be using the term uncommon. There's a lot of uncommon games and a lot of games that are harder to find, but that doesn't necessarily make them rare. I mean, Tetris for the DS, that game's uncommon, but it's actually, even that game's not even that uncommon. I mean, that game was out for probably a year to 2 years before they stopped producing that game. So it's hard to find, but the reason why it's harder to find is because the people who have copies of it don't want to give it up. Video games nowadays, they're not really, there's a tendency for these games to be produced in such large numbers because developers want to obviously reap the rewards, you know, at the reap you know, good sales at the video game store, that you know, they make so many copies that it's really, I mean, to say something's rare is just overusing that word, and it's really, there's not many games that are rare. I would say probably the best example of a game that's rare or uncommon in recent memory, or most recently, would probably be Demon's Souls, the collector's edition. I know that's not the exact title, it's collector's edition, limited edition, something like that, but that game's actually pretty hard to find. But even at that, I mean, you can go on eBay, you can purchase the game, you might spend more money than what you would have spent had you bought it during launch, and you're going to spend more money for it, you know, than you would have at launch. But it's not a rare game, and it's not hard to find. So, you know, kind of my question to you guys is, you know, what games do you have that are actually rare? Do any of you guys have games, or what do you consider to be rare? You know, what are your thoughts on games being rare, or you know, the whole idea of rare versus the term uncommon? You know, just kind of weigh in on that. But seriously, if you don't believe me on this, go and do a Google search and type in rare PlayStation 2 game or rare PS2 game. Type in rare Xbox 360 game. You're going to find so many titles that are by no means rare. It's gonna surprise you if you've never looked before. I would say just go ahead and do that, and tell me what you think. I'm just curious to kind of find out. But anyways, I'm going to remain locked out here until my wife gets home, and if she comes home and I'm able to get out of the house, maybe I'll do a Let's Ride video. I don't know, but you guys will probably know before I can even tell you, because I'll have the video posted, obviously. So I'm going to try to either figure out a way to get my dog to open the door for me, or I'm going to sit out here and wait for my wife to get off work, which should be 20 minutes or so. But I figured I'd bring you guys a video in the meantime and do something semi-productive with my time. So I'll talk to you guys soon, and sorry for me like looking around. I don't know. Looks like I'm paranoid or something. But no, I just, you know, you don't want the neighbors to see you in your backyard talking to yourself. They'll really think you're crazy if they don't already. Anyways, guys, I'll talk to you soon. Later. Hey, let me in. Let me in. Let me in. Open up the door. Open the door. Can you open the door for me? Come on, let me in. Let me in. This is torture, I'm sorry. Let me in.